So I placed another order from Handheld Legend with the intent of modifying a second Game Boy and going a little bit more crazy with this one. Now, you can already read the title. Things didn't go as planned, but for now I'm going to proceed as if they did, and we're going to look at what I ordered. I got some yellow buttons, yellow replacement buttons. I got, what's in this bag? Looks like the bi-vert kit. Oh, and some glass screen protectors. So I got a black glass screen protector, and I got a red glass screen protector. I got the bi-vert mod. As you may remember, at the last Game Boy that I modified, I did the backlight on, and I didn't do the bi-vert mod. And of course, I was curious as to how that was going to look, so I went with it this time. Also got a yellow backlight. So the first time I ordered a green backlight, this time I ordered a yellow backlight. Those are both two colors that are really good for contrast. And I got the bi-vert kit. And then the main attraction, I guess, is this see-through green case replacement shell. Again, like I said, I wanted to do a second Game Boy. I liked the first one so much, I wanted to do a second one up. And I figured for the second one, I could go crazy because I already have one that looks original. You know, I want one that looks original. But for the second one, I thought I would go crazy. So, yeah, I ordered a clear green shell. And, well, this is it here. The shell comes with a plastic screen cover, like a replacement screen cover. It's not glass like the other ones you can order. And it looks like it came with some replacement buttons, black buttons, as instead of the stock red ones. It also came with screws and a metal backplate already pre-installed. That I knew about when I ordered it. What I didn't expect was in here in the battery compartment. I wasn't expecting it to come with the replacement metal battery connectors. That's all of them that basically run all the batteries in series. The two that connect to the motherboard would still be a part of the motherboard, but if those are corroded in yours, that's good. You get the replacements in there. So I was surprised with that, but overall, we had some issues with the case. My original plan was something like this. I wasn't sure how the red was going to look, so I also ordered the black one. And as soon as I saw it in person, all lined up like that, it was pretty obvious that I would be going with the black screen. At least I would have had this gone to plan. So I started to do the mod like I did in the last one. So taking the reflection layer and the polarizing layer off the stock screen, and I got the yellow backlight installed, and thought I would show this. This is what happens when you rotate the polarizing lens. You can make a negative image. And that comes in handy later when we see the bi-vert mod. Maybe you could notice in that video there's something a little off. There's a bit of a weird contrast issue on the edge of where the Nintendo logo would be. And that was a little hint of what was the issue with this. So I didn't get footage of it. I was really concentrating on trying to get this all done. But basically the screen went bad. When I was manipulating the screen and the ribbons to get the reflection and the polarizing layer off, I must have put too much stress on one of the ribbons. And so I was getting these weird issues with the screen. It looked like, oddly enough, it looked like an old CRT, like a worn out CRT, this issue it was doing, and it started to get worse. I could wiggle the ribbon around, and sometimes it would help. I tried resoldering the ribbon originally hoping it was the bottom ribbon. It's common to have lines in the screen that are permanent lines that aren't working anymore on the screen, and that's usually the bottom ribbon, and people will resolder that bottom ribbon. I tried that hoping that was the issue. It wasn't. It turns out it was that back ribbon that goes to the side. So I resorted to plan B, which was to go back to my original Game Boy and put the bi-vert mod in it. So this is what the bi-vert mod looks like. As you can see, we have a negative image on the screen. That's normal. You want that. What you do afterwards is you rotate that polarizing lens again. So now you turn the negative image back into a positive image. And as you can see in this video here, it does make the contrast better. It's again, this thing's hard to video and it's hard to get photographs of, but it's definitely noticeable. It's a little bit more noticeable than maybe even I thought it was going to be. It definitely makes a big difference in the contrast, and also more of the contrast wheel is usable, I find. So you can actually go further down with the contrast wheel than you ever could before, and it gets the light grays start to make more of a change while the dark grays still are dark, I guess. So yeah, the contrast is definitely a lot better. So it's kind of a fail. I wasn't, I basically wrecked a second Game Boy, which was very upsetting. But this is a plan C. This has been added later. This is me the next day. So yeah, I ended up wrecking a Game Boy. Ended up breaking the ribbon that goes behind the screen to the right side of the screen, and was pretty disappointed about that. But the next day at work, I mentioned it to a coworker, and he was like, I have an extra old Game Boy lying around that I never use. And so he ended up basically just wanting to trade a game. So I traded him a GameCube game for it. And it was in basically perfect working condition. It was just turned yellow, as you can see here. So I was pretty excited about that. I basically drove to his house right after work, and we made the trade. I picked up the Game Boy and tried again. And this time it went much better. So about the green clear case, I mentioned earlier in the video that I had some issues with it, and at first I thought I wasn't going to use it. The case isn't perfect, and with these replacement cases, usually expect that they're not going to be perfect. The fit and finish and the quality of the plastic is never as good as the real case, usually. And that's true here. I ended up stripping a couple of the screw holes. They're not pre-tapped, and you got to, screw the screws in pretty hard to get them tapped in, and then you just screw a little bit too hard and they strip. So you can be really careful with the screw holes on this case. And also the buttons are a little looser. The way the D-pad and the A and B buttons fit into the case is a little bit looser. So the buttons have a little bit more wiggle room. They actually can float on top of the membrane a little bit. And when you press the buttons in, they almost go flush with the front of the case. And at first I was kind of disappointed about this, I think. But honestly, getting it together, it wasn't as big of a deal as I was making it out to be. Again, the case isn't perfect. It is not as good as a real original case. But if you go into that knowing that the buttons are going to be a little bit looser feeling, and you're careful not to strip the screws, it's okay. It's a decent replacement. And so now that I've got it together, I'm actually thinking it looks pretty good. The buttons are a little bit looser, but certainly still playable. And this one I left the screen inverted on this time. So this doesn't have a bi-vert chip in it. It just has the 90-degree rotation on the polarizing lens to give an inverted image. And I think I'm going to run with that for a little while. Again, the whole point of this second modded one was to be different. And if it's going to be the one that's different, it might as well be totally different. So I don't mind having the inverted screen on this one. In some games it looks kind of cool. You'll see Tetris a little bit here, and I think it looks pretty neat. All the games are playable on it. The contrast ratio is really good. The contrast ratio seems to get better from the polarizing lens being rotated, not from the bi-vert chip. The bi-vert chip is just reversing the negative image from rotating the polarizing lens, but it's rotating the polarizing lens that's giving you the better contrast ratio. And I guess obviously Nintendo probably knew this, but when when they were designing this thing originally, to get a better contrast ratio out of it, but when you rotate that, it also gets darker, and less light reflects through. So I mean, that wouldn't have been an option back then without having the bright backlight. This also tones down the brightness of the backlight. The backlight's very bright. When you have the polarizing lens rotated and the whole screen looks darker, it actually lets less of that LED light through. So it's kind of a win-win if you found that the LED screen was too bright. Doing the bi-vert mod obviously gives more contrast on the white one. Now that I have the white one fully modded out with that screen bi-verted, it looks awesome. And the green one's pretty cool too. So this really worked out. I wrecked a Game Boy. I was pretty upset about that for a day. And it just randomly, a coworker happened to have another Game Boy. And so I got a second chance at modding this second one. And it went perfectly smooth the second time through. I feel like I could do this in my sleep now. I've taken these Game Boys apart so many times and, done the LED backlight now 3 times on them. But anyways, yeah, that's it. See you guys later.